Hello, Steem. It's been a while. So one of my patrons asked me for my view on the Steem It power down and the suggestions to hard fork out Steem It's accounts from the blockchain. And I wasn't really going to comment on this because, to draw an analogy, this is a bit like, for me, watching a football match and all of a sudden the players start breaking out into a fight, or watching a basketball match and these basketball players start having a little bit, trying their hand at some boxing in the middle of the game. And what you often see is the officials will step back and let the players do 50 cuffs and break themselves up and get to some sort of arrangement, and eventually they will restart the game, issue some disciplinary action, and things move on. And while I'm not saying that I'm a referee or an official in any sense, I do take the view that, let people say their views one way or the other and get mad passionate about it, and eventually the dust will settle and only a few things can actually happen in practice. Those are either somebody suggests a hard fork that proposes something, whether it's to cut out these accounts or do whatever, and then the community comes to a consensus as to whether to go with that hard fork or not, or it's contentious. Some people go with the hard fork and support the hard fork, some people don't, and then everybody who's got an account would have an account on both, and they can decide which of these chains they want to support and go with, or support and go with both. It might have a dilution effect on the coin's value, and that's just how things pan out. Until we get to that point, I'm not kind of interested in the chat. I've been there before on lots of blockchains, and you can get involved in lots of back and forth, blah, 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 and then nothing changes. It's like either there's going to be something suggested, hard and concrete, or there isn't. And up to that point, not really interested. And anybody at any time can just go and create a new chain and decide how they want the distribution of that chain to be, how they want to drop coins on that chain, and move on. As for the Steem chain, they need to get consensus with the existing holders of that Steem. And that's just that. That's just the way I stand on that. As for Steem It powering down, look, let me first deal with the suggestion that somehow, as a community member, we have a say over Steem It's account or any other private account on Steem, whether they got it via mining in the early days and some skullduggery and some pre-mine, or they got it by upvotes or whatever, however people got their Steem. If it's a private account, then people can do what they want with that account. And as last time I checked, turkeys don't vote for Christmas. So the idea that someone with a whole shed load of Steem powers is going to say, there you go, I bequest it to you because I'm an asshole and you're great, just doesn't happen in the real world, And I understand that Steem It have made some sort of assurances around that. I mean, I remember reading something around that Steem It account money being used to onboard new users and to fund new initiatives and that, and that's great. If I had a shed load of Steem, I might say that I would do this and I would do that with some of the Steem in order to make sure that it retains its value. But ultimately, what they do with that Steem and what they don't do with that Steem is up to them. And I understand there's some talk of potentially setting up a foundation and all that kind of stuff. Again, let's see where that lies and where that goes, and then we'll take it from there. But, for me, the suggestion that you would in some way try to carve out somebody's share of a token and then continue with that chain seems to me not the way that any blockchain should go. But again, listen, lots of things happen in this chain that I wouldn't personally agree with. So that might not necessarily happen. For example, SMTs, I weren't particularly enthusiastic about SMTs. The consensus was we're going to go with this SMTs. And that's just the way it is. And sometimes you have to know that the community might go against you. But for something as big as, taking out people's accounts, I would like to think that if that was a consensus, that there would be another consensus which said No, you don't do that, and there are two chains. A bit like the Ethereum Classic scenario, or the Bitcoin Cash scenario. It's not unusual for there to be a contentious fork and for there to be two chains. But until we actually get closer to those kind of points, it's just all talk, and I don't really have time for that kind of conversation. I'm not I didn't come to Steem to get involved in crappy politics. I came to Steem to try and support content creators, to create content myself, to actually see a blockchain that is in action and is utilized and actually affects people's lives. No, that's what I'm about. The kind of politicking, I'm not really about that. So I'm not really interested in it. And let me know what you decide, and then I can make investment decisions from what's actually decided, not around talk and rhetoric. So that's it, really. It's really quite straightforward. Let's see where it goes. My own personal views, I understand the frustrations around the development around Steem. Things haven't been as fast as we want it, but my perspective is slightly different because I don't just own Steem, I own Bitcoin, and I'm frustrated about some of the investments, the development around Bitcoin. I own Ethereum, and everybody knows what had to happen with Constantinople last week, and we've been waiting forever for Casper. I own some Dash even, and evolution was supposed to happen God knows how long ago. So it isn't just a Steem thing where development is slow and people have gripes around what the core dev teams are doing. That's everywhere. So again, and in the bear market, people feel it a little bit more and passion's a little bit more flamed, and that's understandable. So my thing is, let's see where this leads to in actual concrete resolutions. I would love to get involved in the conversations. I just have not got the time or the energy or the patience to do it. Okay, just being honest, I'm gone.